Okay, so it's the 13th of May 2023, and I'm out doing a few odds and ends lawns. And I got a call today from a guy that is going to call around. Thank the Lord, I'm so grateful. But he calls me, and the grass is shoulder height. He's like, I need help. And the last time I did a job like this, I swore to myself I was never going to do it again. I was never going to do it again. But I told him, I said, look, so I can help you. I said, but there's a right way and a wrong way to do this. And I said, this is in my neighborhood where I live. The lawn has to look outstanding, and I can't leave patches of grass and clumps of grass in the backyard. It's going to have to be bagged. It's going to take several hours. And I just told him point blank, I said, the last time I did a job like this, I swore to myself I wasn't going to do it because it's not worth it. It's not worth the workload. And more importantly to me, it's not worth what it does to the lawn equipment. You know, I mean, anyone that has a lawnmower knows that, yeah, you can go out and cut down really tall grass, but it destroys the mower. It's bad for the spindles, it's bad for the belts, it's bad for the engine, it's bad for the blades. It's just not worth it. Plus, you don't know what's at the base of the grass. There could be all kinds of stuff out there. And so many times when I've done this in the past, I've come across stuff that customers had no idea or didn't think about. And that's fine, but that's what happens when you have experience. You learn from this stuff. So I told him, I said, look, I said, normally that lawn would be $45 week in and week out. An occasional mow here or there, as long as it's been maintained, you know, service on call would be $65. I said, but given the condition, it would be $300. It has to match it. And I said, to be point blank, I don't want to do it, but I'll do it. I said, I would encourage you first to call around and see if you can find a kid in the neighborhood, you know, that would be willing to do it for less. They probably will be willing to do it for less, and they're gullible. They might be a little more hungry for the money. They might be willing to work 4 or 5 hours, but no way. I don't want to touch it. So he was open to it, but every once in a while I'll get someone that calls like this after the end of no mow May, and they want me to cut the grass for 30 or 40 bucks, and I tell them no, and they're like, I can't believe you want to charge me X. And I'm like, dude, you know, you got 2 months of grass. We both know that it wasn't just May that you didn't cut the grass. You didn't cut that grass in April either. Let's just level with each other. So the realistic, you know, issue here isn't what I'm asking you to pay me if I do it, understanding that I'm not your only option. You can call anybody else. The realistic issue is you wanting someone to do X, Y, and Z for you not doing it. And I understand people get sick. I understand that people get injured and life happens. But if you're a homeowner or you're a renter and your responsibility is taking care of that lawn, you know it's got to be done, period. It has to be done. So when I first got started many years ago, I kind of let people stick it to me, you know, because I can't believe this or that, and I would feel bad. And what a lot of people don't understand is, especially now that I'm established, I don't need the work. I don't mean, you know, I don't need it. But I don't let people guilt me anymore. Now, the lawn that I just did today on a day that I normally wouldn't do any mowing is for a 94-year-old woman that's a widow, and I've helped her for 5 years. And in my heart, I feel like I have to help her because she didn't have anything to do all day. She just sits down, looks out the window, and the grass is growing in front of her eyes, and it creates an anxiety issue. And if you've ever watched the movie Interstellar, I love listening to music soundtracks. There's a song on there about time, and it goes tick, 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 and then it gets dramatically more dramatic as the song continues, and that's what's going through her mind. So I'm like, I got to go help this lady. I always have to do it. I didn't want to go, but I did. I got it done. But I loathe the end of the month of May, the first week of June, specifically for lawn mowing, for those customers that call with these situations where they just haven't cut the grass. And I get it. I understand the cause and the reason, you know, that many of them don't do it for. It's just, that's not my book of business. That's not my niche, so to speak. Although, if I have nothing else going on, there are times that I do it. And mostly anymore, it's for the people that I told them call around. And they either don't call around or they can't find anyone. And we've talked it out, you know, thoroughly before we do the work to make sure that they're not making an emotional purchase at the second, you know, at the moment to regret it. Because in those cases, when they regret it afterwards and the work is done and we've done the proper cleanup, they don't regret having left it and not done it. They're okay with that, you know. But they regret, oh, I can't believe I paid you this. Well, okay, call the city. Find out what the city's going to charge you to do it, or the HOA. But it's about relationships. And what a lot of people don't understand is when I do these types of jobs for customers, it's to help them. And that's part of the reason why I'm very thorough. Have you tried talking to a local neighborhood kid? Have you called around? You know what I mean? If not, this is what it's going to cost for me to do it. I don't want to do it because X, Y, and Z. And the money that you pay me is not going to really offset the risk. I mean, lawn mowing equipment is only going to last X amount of time, even if you give it the very best maintenance and care that you can give it. So when you do those jobs, I mean, I would rather go out and mow 6 yards at $50 a pop and take the same amount of time versus being mobile in that one spot and taking the same amount of time or even less time to mow that grass for that really tall, overgrown lawn. Because again, it's just not worth it. It's like, you know, a chef at a high-dollar steakhouse taking a steak knife and going out and just rubbing it against concrete, the sharp edge, the cutting edge, for 25 to 30 minutes. Doesn't make any sense. Not going to make a dent in the concrete, let alone get anything accomplished. So if I were you, if you're out there, my advice that I would share is, you know, you got to do you. I mean, if you're going to go out and do these jobs and make no money, well, understand that your equipment's going to get wore down, and it's going to get wore down regardless. But if you're going to do it, get paid for it. Make it worth the investment of your time and the risk of your equipment, and understand it's very possible when you get out there that you might break a belt, you might hit something that you don't know that's under the ground, you might kill some bunnies, which kind of happens here or there anyway, but especially in grass like that. You know, it was last spring, I got a call from a guy that owned all the houses on a particular street. Why he waited till the last second, I don't know. The grass is up to my shoulder. I get there, I gave him an estimate on it, he agreed. I cut it down, I'm doing a pass, I look over, and there's a doggone deer right there. Deer got up and took off shortly thereafter. But you just don't know what you're going to cut through. So don't let people's, kind of, shove all their anxiety and stress onto you is my recommendation in these situations. It's up to you. You do what you want. It's your business. But that's what I'm dealing with today. And I wanted to share that. It was on my mind. It might give you some ideas. Maybe you do something differently, and that's fine. I see some guys go out and they do this stuff for free. That's fine. They say they do it for free, but they do it for their channels. They get paid through their channel, so they're really not doing it for free. But it might be for free for the particular customer, and that's okay. I don't have anything against that. But that's not my business model. I'm not out cutting grass for free to cut grass for free, because the reality is it costs me, and I got to have a return on my investment. So hit the like button if you haven't already. Maybe subscribe to my channel. Add some of your experiences or ideas below in the comments if you would. Let's start a conversation. Peace.